it's their opponent's job to try and make sure that doesn't happen also. And so I agree with you. I thought we did our best. I thought we did our best after the game yesterday. I thought we did our best to get answers today. I've told you guys this before. I take this part of the job seriously, right?
Well, you should.
It's my job to try and get answers for the fans who pay the freight.
For the people.
They pay for the jerseys. They pay for the tickets. They're the ones who want answers, and it's my job, because I have access to these people, to ask the questions, hoping to get it. But I don't feel like I didn't try to do my job today. I tried to, but I don't think I was all that effective.
Well, here's the thing here. And it sounds like to me, you're in the room, you can tell me. But I'm a little afraid if Matt LaFleur now is going to be in the defensive meetings or is more concerned about the defense, that he's going to try to do both. And to me, will the offense – so he can't do it all, not at this level.
No,
high school, little league, okay, fine. This is not that. Did you get the sense of that he is saying he's going to be more involved with the defense than he's ever been here in these last 3 games?
That is exactly the thing you should be concerned about. Now, what do I believe that actually meant? Because he was asked, are you going to be more involved defensively? And his answer was absolutely. Now, if you're the head coach of the football team, you're the head coach of the entire football team. You're not just the head coach of the offense, even if you have an offensive background. So he has to say that he's going to be more involved, right? But I don't think he's going to be skipping offensive meetings to go to defensive meetings. What I think it means, Gary, is I am going to impose my will or my desires more than I have, which, let's be honest, going into the season, he definitely was doing. Like, we heard Rasul Douglas, we heard Jair Alexander talk about how they were going to play more man coverage, they were going to be more aggressive, they were going to blitz more. And I think early on in the season it looked that way, and then as things kind of progressed, they kind of reverted back to how Joe Barry wanted to run the defense. Well, now Matt LaFleur's message is, I'm going to get more involved again, at least at the level of telling them, this is what I want us to do. I want us to be up on guys on 3rd and 3 instead of giving a 6-yard cushion. Whether or not that makes a huge difference, we'll all have to wait and see, but that's what he said.
I have 2 foundation-level questions to ask you coming up on the other side. So we'll continue with Jason Wilde here from Rockin' Brews inside Potawatomi Casino Hotel. A reminder, the Gabe Neitzel autograph session is about to begin, as Gabe is also visiting from ESPN
Well, he started eating
Milwaukee.
now, so we're going to have to wait on it.
Well, I'll give him a few minutes. Somehow he got bread pudding, so I'm not really sure how that all happened. But
Did he really?
He may... He may know somebody that we don't.
Now I'm bitter.
But we'll dive into the s'mores up here. My friend Gary will tell us about the Jewelry Center, who is, I don't know if they provided you with the watch that you're wearing.
Uncle Dean
but
is
it is
here.
beautiful.
Yeah, well,
and Uncle Dean is here.
Yeah. 3 locations locally. Yeah, 76 in Lake Plaza in Brookfield off of Blue Mar Road. Tri-State National Bank Building's 3rd location for you folks in historic downtown Burlington. Guys, shoptjc.com is their website. Shoptjc.com is their website, guys, where you can buy just about anything you want to buy at all 3 of their location. If you're looking to get the best money for your old gold jewelry, it's going to be at the Jewelry Center. If you're going to get the best possible price on any piece of jewelry, it's going to be at the Jewelry Center. And I know everybody's waiting for the Black Friday and all this and that, but I just want to let you know Black Friday is every Friday, every day at the Jewelry Center. Guys, just don't take my word for it. Go check my good friends out today and ask for my good friend Dean Murray, and they'll be able to help you out with any of your jewelry needs. The Jewelry Center.
I'm still going with Uncle Dean.
Uncle Dean?
I like that.
Well, don't we have Uncle Homer? Is that one and the same, or I don't know?
I think this is a function of me. Both my parents were only children, so I didn't really have any true aunts and uncles. So you kind of adopt them. So I've adopted Uncle Dean and
Uncle Homer.
Right?
Here we go.
Yeah, well, Uncle Jason and Uncle Gary and I will be back coming up in just a couple minutes here. It's more from Potawatomi Hotel Casino. It's a Football Monday.
Back with more on the green and gold after this on Potawatomi Sportsbook Football Monday, live from Rockin' Brews.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
It could be Brock Purdy, quarterback of San Francisco. It could be Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. It could be Christian McCaffrey, running back of the San Francisco 49ers. It could even be Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. Maybe Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. But it's not over now. when it comes to the MVP race in the National Football League. I love when people try to find those Heisman moments, those MVP moments. That's just voters being lazy, looking for one particular moment to say, that was the best moment I've seen all year. That means that person is the MVP for the season. It's okay. I know even in these modern times, when we want results yesterday, to wait until the season is over before you decide who was the best player that season. It's not about being elite. It's not about being this or being that. It's who you believe is the best. Or if you take that player away from that team is not as good. But let's not end the race now when we still got 3 weeks left to play in the NFL season. In 60 seconds, the unfixable Kansas City Chiefs.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
As long as the Kansas City Chiefs have number 15, a.k.a. Patrick Mahomes, a quarterback, I would like to believe that no matter what's going on or if they don't have a chance to do something that they have not done in the history of Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, play a home playoff game in the AFC on the road, I would like to believe that as long as they have number 15 in red, that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be okay. Maybe that's blind faith, blind stupidity, whatever that is. But that's going to keep the Kansas City Chiefs not being as worried about them doing it again as other people seem to want to worry about or even think about when you have guys still having the lack of ability to catch the football, especially when it comes to one Kadarius Toney. And you saw the frustration evident on the face of Patrick Mahomes, even though they beat the New England Patriots yesterday, 27-17. What are you going to do about it if you're Kansas City? Because it's not too late to do anything about it. Sometimes you got to play the guys that you trust that are going to be out there and produce. And there's no two ways about that. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman.
Discount Liquor Christmas Week is here on 94.5 ESPN. Our friends at Discount Liquor have over 14,000 varieties of beer, liquor, and wine in stock. Discount Liquor brings the selection, everyday low prices, expert service, and the convenience of 2 locations. It is the perfect spot to find that drink for your Christmas gathering. Stop by 51st and Oklahoma in Milwaukee and in downtown Waukesha at Main and Barstow. Discount Liquors is a locally family-owned and operated business. Merry Christmas from Discount Liquor. You're listening to Potawatomi Sportsbook Football Monday, live from Rockin' Brews on 94.5 ESPN.
I've got to be more present with those guys and making sure that, we're all on the same page. Because football is, if you don't have all 11 on the same page, it obviously starts with our staff, making sure all our coaches are in lockstep. But if you don't have all 11 on the same page, it takes one guy and then everything goes to crap after that. And you get exposed. And unfortunately, we got exposed in a really, really bad way yesterday.
And the week before, when Tommy DeVito had 4 incomplete passes and was not sacked once. Oh, by the way, Tommy DeVito was sacked by the Saints 7 times yesterday in a loss to the New Orleans Saints. So very frustrating times here for the Packers defense, but Joe Barry is hanging on for now. Greg Matzek, Gary Ellerson, Jason Wilde, our special guest, joining us live at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. It's Rockin' Brews, Potawatomi Sportsbook Football Monday. Foundation level question for you, Jason. Your belief, as someone who's been in the locker room all throughout the season, and many seasons, all of the seasons Joe Barry has been employed as defensive coordinator, do you believe that the Packers' defensive players, by and large, buy into Joe Barry's system? Do they believe in the system?
That is a good question. I think there is probably a level of doubt. There's certainly not a level of, enthusiasm, right? Like a level of, this guy is such a great coach. I think of, you kind of look back throughout history, and there were defensive coordinators that players absolutely loved playing for. You probably had coaches that you felt that way about, right? You not only loved them because of the guy they were and the connectivity that you had with them, but you also loved them because you loved their scheme, you loved how they coached you, they got after you when you needed it, they gave you a hug when you needed it, all that stuff, right? And so whether it's Fritz Schirmer, which I'm sure Leroy could talk about till the cows come home, or Buddy Ryan when he had those defenses going in Chicago, whatever it is. Rex Ryan, I'm sure, in Baltimore.
That's another one, yeah.
I don't think that that's the case with Joe Barry. I mean, I think we know that, there were a bunch of guys that were unhappy with the system previously, and that was one of the reasons why Matt LaFleur kind of dabbled in and made some changes, and why Rasul Douglas at the beginning of the season and Jair Alexander both seemed very much invested, right? Jair Alexander was pissed off after the first game last year because he didn't get matched up with Justin Jefferson. And then this season, and toward the end of last season, he started matching up with the best receiver. Now he's not matching up with anybody currently. But there was some change, and maybe that shifted a little bit of their feeling about Joe Barry to, okay, this guy's willing to listen to us. But I don't think that there is a level of passion for, I'm going to run through a wall for this guy. I don't get the sense, I don't know that. Maybe there are guys that feel that way. But to me, that's really the linebackers and the defensive backfield that have to feel that way, because your defensive linemen are always going to do the same thing, right? So it doesn't matter who the coordinator is, basically. So I just think that they would love for there to be that passion. I would be willing to guess that there isn't much.
Foundation level question, number 2 of 2.
We're not really on the foundation. We're kind of higher up.
We are raised.
Really cool
venue.
venue.
But there's a foundation underneath us.
We play like a rock concert here.
So people play shows here, and then they.
Yeah.
Well, we are the show right now, though.
Current.
That's right.
No guitars, no.
Well, I mean,
what would you be? More percussion?
Well, I'm a bass player.
Bass. Yeah.
Wait, you play the bass?
Yeah, I played the tuba in high school, and also the piano. Yeah.
You're like an onion. The more I peel back, the more I learn.
Yeah.
So wait, you would go play the tuba at halftime during a football game?
Yeah, and I did. And then my junior year.
In your uniform?
In my uniform, yeah. And
you kept hitting all the notes?
Well, yeah, and then my junior year, my head coach came to the band teacher and with my mom. They're all sitting there and says, "Hey, Gary's going to be pretty good this year. We got to have him for halftime adjustments." And I'm going way back, and as you know, back in the South,
I'm so glad I brought this up.
Halftime adjustments in the South, if you played, you got 3 spankings. If you didn't, you got 2 with a 2x4.
Okay.
So I wasn't overly thrilled to be in the locker room at halftime.
Yeah.
I had a good thing going with the band.
Wow. I know you have a foundational question.
Then I played concert band. Yeah, so I did all that. And jazz band. And
so you could have, had you chosen to, then gone to the University of Wisconsin and played fifth quarter shows after you got done with wins for Coach
now that
Clay.
you said that, actually, I was a music major my first year, and I took classes with Mike LaCrone. Big band theory was a couple of my classes that I had. It was my major, yeah.
I took clap for credit twice.
Okay, back to Joe Barry and Matt
Foundational
LaFleur.
question number 2 from Greg.
Of 2. Is Joe Barry's scheme designed in a manner that suggests he doesn't believe in the talent he has, especially in the second and third level?
No, I think his scheme is his scheme. Now, obviously, Matt LaFleur decided to make changes to that scheme and have them play more man coverage, and then obviously yesterday they did not. Baker Mayfield was 22 of 28 for 381 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was 20 of 23 according to NFL Next Gen Stats for 3 of the touchdowns against zone coverage. So that means there were only 5 passes that he threw that were against man coverage, one of the touchdowns. So that tells you that Joe Barry was playing the defense that Joe Barry likes. Now, the question that you're asking that I think is interesting is, has the league and have the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur offenses caught up to the Vic Fangio defense? Just like at some point, offenses figured out how it was best to attack cover 2, right? There was a time when cover 2 was the defense in this league. The Tampa 2, and then the Bears were running it, and it was giving Brett Favre fits, and he was having trouble with Warren Sapp and the Buccaneers in the early 2000s. So, because, look, Brandon Staley was a Fangio guy. Fangio failed as a head coach, is now the defensive coordinator in Miami, and let's be honest, Miami's defense isn't very good either.
No.
Right? So is it possible that now the days of, hey, you keep everything in front of you, make a team go 10, make an offense go 10, 12 plays without making a mistake, without getting a penalty, without, turning the ball over, without a negative yardage, big loss where you have to get back on track. Are those days over, and is that system now obsolete? I would say that if you're looking at what a lot of these other defenses are doing that are playing well, and I think of Minnesota, which definitely doesn't have nearly the talent that the Packers do. Look, the Vikings are getting after you. Brian Flores is getting after you, right? The Chiefs, and I understand the Packers beat them, but the Chiefs with Spagnuolo, they're getting after you. The Wink Martindale and the Giants, they're getting after you. They are blitzing. If you look, there was no point in the game that I thought was more illustrative of the difference between Joe Barry's defense and Todd Bowles and what the Buccaneers were doing. Then 4th and 10, the Packers are still in the game with 4 minutes and change left. And on 4th and 10, instead of rushing 3 and playing coverage against Jordan Love, Todd Bowles sends 7.
Yes.
He went all-out blitz, and not only does Jordan Love take a 19-yard sack, but he fumbles the football, and the Buccaneers get the ball back, and it's game over. So, look, maybe now the blitzing scheme, now, as an offensive player, you would say this, and I know Jordan Love would say this, blitzes also mean opportunity. If you can pick it up, you've got opportunity for big plays. That's the risk-reward. But right now, the keep everything in front of you approach has certainly gotten them in position to win more games than not this season, but yesterday was just a debacle.
Foundation level question 3.
You said there were only 2.
Of 3.
Okay.
Sometimes you just think of one as you're rolling along.
No, I'm fine with that. That's
just build on them.
That's why I'm here.
Foundation, build on them.
Could Matt LaFleur's loyalty ultimately be his downfall? Is his loyalty towards Joe Barry and his friendship to Joe Barry clouding his judgment in terms of doing what's right? And really, that's a question you could have applied toward last offseason when they said, yep, he's coming back. I think about the Mo Drayton situation. That's what leads me to ask you the question.
Yeah, I'm not staring at David Lee Roth with his open shirt in the video.
I thought maybe that was Gabe Knight.
Gary was. Gary was.
Well, I like him.
But he loved Van Halen of the 80s.
Oh, yes.
But I am reluctant to say, because, look, one of the biggest, I would argue that the quality that I look for most in people is loyalty. I think loyalty leads to all the other things that make you a good person. And so I don't want to criticize him for being loyal. The problem is, and look, I don't know just how close he and Joe Barry are, because let's be honest, it sure feels like more often than not, he kind of throws Joe Barry under the bus.
He does, a lot.
Not happy about the situation, that's for sure.
A lot.
And
he did last year, too, though.
I think at his core, Matt LaFleur is a good guy who doesn't like firing people. And unfortunately, when you're the guy in the head man's seat, sometimes you have to do that, right? Mike, I would argue that there are times when guys get fired because they're being scapegoated. Like Mike Sherman, and I love Mike Sherman. He's like a second father to me.
Yes.
But Mike Sherman scapegoated Ed Donatel for 4th and 26 because it was Mike Sherman who changed the play call on defense. And then Ed Donatel got himself fired for it, even though it was Mike Sherman's call. And then he promoted Bob Slowick, and Bob Slowick was actually worse. So they had to fire him, and he had to hire Jim Bates. And then obviously Mike Sherman lost his job, and Jim Bates went away as well. So look, I don't think loyalty is a bad quality. But I do think there is a tipping point, and I would say this. If he does not explore a coordinator change this offseason, then I think you might be right that he is loyal to a fault, and it could be his downfall.
We got one more segment with Jason Wilde and Gary Ellerson here from Potawatomi Casino Hotel. It's a Potawatomi Sportsbook Football Monday. It's on a Monday, and let's see, Monday Night Football underway here. It's the Battle of the Birds in Seattle. I don't like birds so much, but this one will be worth watching. If you're a Packers fan, you are an Eagles fan tonight. We'll keep you updated on that game as well. More after this on ESPN Milwaukee.
More football talk coming up next. This is Potawatomi Sportsbook Football Monday, live from Rockin' Brews. Football guy.
What the hell happened to Bucky on your hat?
Football guy.
A lot of wear and tear for old B.
Coming at it from different views.
I'm just saying he's well worn. I mean, his face is missing. Okay, well, it's probably time for me to freshen that up. Bucky wants to flip you off right now.
Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Also sponsored by Coors Light. Weekdays 9 to noon on 94.5 ESPN. And available wherever you get your podcasts with Wisconsin On Demand.
An ESPN Radio Extra Point. With Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
I don't believe if the Dallas Cowboys went into Buffalo and they won 31-10 that everybody would be talking about them today. I think everybody would say, well, it's the Bills. They're not even a playoff team. Sure, they beat Kansas City, but they're not a playoff team. This is where I think the Cowboys argument has gotten inconsistent. I think people are excited to hate on them and not excited to love on them. And when they have a big win, it's, well, let's wait to the postseason. And when they have a big loss, it's, see, I told you they can't do this in big games. Well, we're still not in the postseason, though. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think the Dallas Cowboys are treated unfairly. I think the Dallas Cowboys are treated unfairly. Big wins in the regular season don't seem to count because they're not in the postseason, and yet big losses in the regular season seem to be indicative of what people expect to happen in the postseason. That's not fair.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Fisco is always there for your auto body care. When accidents happen, Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home in Franklin is there when you need them. Got a broken mirror? They'll take care of it. Dented bumper? Scratch paint? Fisco Auto Body will take care of it. If there's any damage you need fixed, Fisco has you covered. Their expert workmanship is guaranteed for the life of your vehicle. So stop in for all of your auto bumps and dings. Once again, you know the line. That's Fisco.
We're back with Potawatomi Sportsbook Football Monday, live from Rockin' Brews on 94.5 ESPN.
it's all concerning, right? When it looks like there's some confusion going on back there, because you've got to be so coordinated and so in tune, really on all three levels. Every guy plays off one another. And when there's any type of miscommunication, you can get gashed. That's what happened. I mean, it's 22 completions for 381 yards. I mean, that's not good enough.
Greg Matzek, Jason Wilde, Gary Ellerson with you, wrapping up a Potawatomi Sportsbook Football Monday. When the Packers were 3-6, Jason was having a conversation with some others about the idea of removing Joe Barry from his post. And I said, boy, that's awfully risky if you're Matt LaFleur. And you're 3-6, all of a sudden your seat becomes a little hotter if you're Matt LaFleur. I would argue that at 6-6, entering the playoff picture, showing signs of growth like they have offensively, quarterback Jordan Love looking like the quarterback of the future, where the defense has really slid badly in the last couple of weeks, I think that risk is removed to make a move midseason. Not that Matt LaFleur is going to do it. In fact, we know he's not. Is that a fair way of looking at it, or would Matt LaFleur's seat all of a sudden become instantly hot if he poached got rid of his defensive coordinator while the season were happening?
I heard you guys talking about this as I was listening in the parking lot of the Baumgartner Center at Ballet, and I don't know what it would take to make Matt LaFleur's seat hot. I think had they continued down the path they were as a team as a whole, and they'd finished like 4-13, I think that the temperature would be higher for next year. I never thought he was ever going to get fired no matter what happened. They gave him such a young team. But I do think the question now becomes, what are you prepared to do to get the defense right?
Yeah.
Right? If I'm Goody, if I'm Mark Murphy, I'm looking at it, and I know Goody doesn't make the call, which we don't have enough time to discuss the dysfunction of their structure. That really upset Murphy when I asked him about it in a press conference when he decided to do it. But my point is that it looks like you guys were talking about all the guys you like offensively and love. Like, that is trending in a very positive direction.
Yep.
What you don't want is, after all the investment on defense, for the wrong guy coaching it to drag down all that potential as a team. Because I think they could be really good in 24. But suddenly now you're looking going, they're going to have to make more investments on defense. And that, to me, is you better figure out who is going to be your defensive coordinator if this guy's not the right guy, and I think all signs point to the fact that we're having this conversation tells me he's not the right guy. And I don't care if you don't like the other options that are on your staff on an interim basis. If you don't think he's the guy, then you make the move. And Matt LaFleur obviously didn't feel that way.
Well, and I think to me, the elephant in the room, we go back to it real quick, is Jair Alexander. And I think they need a guy like him, a shutdown corner, to make it a lot easier for this defense to play the way he want to play it. And no one really knows. I mean, is he hurt? I'm assuming that he is. How bad is it? But I just saw an interview with one of the receivers. I don't know if it was Wicks or which one it was, but they asked him about his high ankle sprain. He goes, they need me. Right. I had to play.
Right.
I mean, you're hearing this throughout the locker room with some of these younger guys that are playing, that they need me, I have to play, but not so much out of Jair.
My understanding, and again, I don't know, it's the person I spoke with, I'm not sure how certain they are of this, a grade 2 AC joint injury is what is going on there. It is a legit injury. He's got a problem with strength in that arm. Could he play through it?
No one knows that.
Who am I to say?
Right?
But I know Matt LaFleur's frustrated. I know the organization is frustrated. There's no denying that.
Well, the positivity after wins over the Lions and really the Chargers, Lions and Chiefs, is kind of taking a hit here after back-to-back losses to the Giants and Buccaneers. Another chance for the Packers on Christmas Eve. It'll be a noon game against the Carolina Panthers. The Vikings and Bears also stand in the Packers' way. Final question, and it's a one-answer question for both of you. One-answer answer. Gary, will the Packers be a playoff team this year?
I think they will be. I'm going to say yes. Stand on that.
Jason?
No, but they're barely going to miss.
There we go. That sounds like a 2 out of 3 situation.
Answer your own question.
No, I think they fall short against Minnesota. I do think they beat the Bears, and I do think they beat Carolina. For Gary Ellerson and Jason Wilde, our special guest, the Gabe Neitzel autograph session still going on here at Rock and Brews. Please stop and say hello to Gabe. Give him a free hug. They are free throughout the rest of the night here at Rock and Brews. For our producer, Chris Larson, I'm Greg Matzek. Thanks for being a part of our show each and every night. We're back again next week.
Isn't this the best time of year? Wisconsin has the